I'd like to start by offering my condolences to a member of our family and a founder of this organization, Vern Bristol. Vern was instrumental in setting up, designing, and supporting this organization over the last 57 years. I met with Vern last week, and he was super excited about the event and was planning on being up here to speak. So I just take a moment to thank the Bristol family, give them our condolences. I know we have a lot of Bristols here, and they're certainly all part of the Rescue Inc. family. So we're going to go through a slide presentation. If you have questions, feel free to ask. We've got a couple microphones up here. We just ask that you use a microphone so that everybody can hear. If I have anybody that would be willing from the staff to be a microphone runner, that would be great. Save us a little bit of time. So a little history about Rescue Inc. Again, it was founded in 1966. It was created to fill a need for regional ambulance service in the greater Brattleboro area over to Chesterfield and Hinsdale, New Hampshire. The coverage area expanded in 2004 at the request of Grace Cottage Ambulance, who was struggling at that time to provide service to the West River Valley. We now serve 15 towns, 14 that we've historically served, and we're providing some services to the city of Keene. We're community partners. You made me quiet. I see you guys still here. How about this one? All right, we got more mics. So we're a community partner, and you'll see as we go through our presentation tonight some recurring themes about how our organization works within this community. Our mission has not changed. We serve as a key component to our rural healthcare system, provide the highest quality, risk-appropriate, rapid emergency medical care and transportation services in our region. We have recognized the contribution, determination, and dedication of our volunteers and staff who fulfill this mission. Complement our skills and services with education training to achieve our objectives. And as we go through our presentation tonight, you'll see that we work very hard to meet our mission. We do that with 911 response, hospital transportation, local incident response, event coverage, specialized rescue, disaster response, education, public health. These are not just words on a slide. This is what we do every day. The men and women of this organization take this responsibility very seriously. We work hard to make sure that every call is covered, every need is met, whether that's an active shooter threat, a flood, somebody that needs to get from Dartmouth Hitchcock back to a local nursing home for rehab. They have equal importance to us, and we work hard to make sure that we serve those needs. So our Division 1, Tom, this is the spot where you had to come up to the microphone, buddy. Come on up. So our Division 1, kind of the historic first part of Rescue Inc., which was the town of Brattleboro and the surrounding communities, is served out of this facility, covering Dummerston, Putney, Chesterfield. We work as a team with our other divisions, but I thought it would be an opportunity. Chief Goddard from Putney, he's being put on the spot. I did tell him. Say a couple of words about the services that we provide out of our Division 1.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. For those that don't know me, I'm the fire chief in Putney. I've been the fire chief in Putney for a number of years. Prior to that, I was actually here at Rescue Inc. for a number of years. Been a combination in between along the way, and I'm also the head of the District 13 Board of Directors. I've got a long history with Rescue Inc. The town of Putney, and that's what I'm going to speak on behalf of tonight. The town of Putney and the Putney Fire Department certainly has a long history with Rescue Inc. literally in the town of Putney, we use the services from Rescue Inc. daily, whether it be once a day, on occasion it could be 4, 5, 6 times a day, depending upon what's going on in town. When we talk about full service, that's exactly what we get from Rescue Inc. Whether it's, for lack of a better term, a stub toe call, to a cardiac arrest, major trauma call, on occasion when we have working fires in town, any assets we ever need, any resources we ever need out of Rescue Inc., we get at the drop of a hat. No questions asked. When it comes to technical rescue services from Rescue Inc., same thing. And like Drew mentioned and alluded to, it's all about teamwork. There is, whether, and this is Division 1 wide, Division 2 wide, and now in Division 3, working with the City of Keene. There is no us versus them. It's all about one thing, and that is the patients that we're working with. That's it. When we arrive on the scene, doesn't matter if we get there first, doesn't matter if the ambulance crew gets there first, none of that matters. All that matters is the patients are being treated in a manner that they should be treated, and that's what we give them. When it comes to BLS versus ALS, there's always that transition. Any of the transitions that take place between our crews and Rescue Inc.'s crews are always pretty seamless. So it's a very worthwhile relationship. It's a very solid relationship. Now, in saying all that, and Drew and I have had issues in the past, if you will, just simply the type of personalities that we all have and the drive that we all have, eventually at one point or another, that can lead to some conflict. At the end of that day, there's never been a time, whether it's been myself and Drew, myself and Eric, the assistant chief down here at Rescue, there's never been a time that we haven't made a phone call, sat around a table, drank a cup of coffee, and within a matter of minutes, whatever issue there was is fully resolved, and we're back to business. So that's it in a snapshot, unless anybody has any specific questions or you wanted me to go on to something totally different. All right.
Thank you. It will likely happen again. Assistant Chief Jay Wilson. He's getting put on the spot too. So again, in 2004, Rescue Inc. was asked to expand coverage up into the West River Valley. So I'll have Jay talk about what his experience is.
Thank you. I've been involved with the Newburgh Fire Department for 46 years, I think. Prior to them taking over Division 2, we also used it for half the town from Division 1, and we've always had excellent service. Tom said pretty much everything that applies to Division 2 also. We rely on them for our training. Last night we had 2 calls within, 5 minutes of each other. Both calls were covered seamlessly. And we have great relationship with all the whole team, so.
All right, and Chief Farquhar, you probably know what's next. So I'll introduce Chief Farquhar from the City of Keene. And a little backstory for people that don't know. We ended up assisting in the greater Keene area when Deluzio Ambulance was no longer able to provide those services. Through a whole host of different circumstances, that service was no longer able to sustain themselves. So as an organization, our board of directors authorized us to move resources into Cheshire County to stabilize the system over there and ensure that when Deluzio closed their doors, there'd be no interruption in service. Our staff here did amazing work in a very short period of time to stand up services over there, and I'll let Chief Farquhar speak to whatever he wants.
Dangerous. Find the right distance here. There you go. Good. To amplify Drew's comments, when Deluzio could no longer provide service. Rescue Inc. stepped in, and really over a weekend, we were able to put together an excellent service, which is very hard to do. That's a compliment to the staff, Drew, to the board for taking, or someone's calling right now, excuse me, for the board to take the step to jump into an unknown situation and in the end losing money. That's very hard for a nonprofit. We are grateful for that. I'm sorry that's a circumstance. I'm deeply hopeful to maintain a long-term relationship with Rescue Inc. It's an amazing company. Drew and I have been in some pretty crazy meetings together, and he is a great person to work with. For the board, you have an excellent chief in this man right here. He's been incredibly supportive, a great sounding board for me, and very, very helpful. We're grateful to the board as well to maintain a relationship we have now for the next 90-day window of helping out in the city of Keene. Just 10 minutes ago, Rescue Inc. ambulance did a call for us in Surrey, and one of the Rescue Inc. ambulances is actually in Keene right now covering because we're busy. There's a lot more I should say, but I won't, other than we are grateful. Rescue Inc. is an amazing organization to do what this company does in a nonprofit status. The depth of resources, the depth of skills, the quality of employee is exceptional. I'd also point out that when we had the rains a while back, Rescue Inc. was incredibly supportive of our Swift Water team when they gave us quite a bit of coverage as well. So it's not just on the EMS resources, it's technical rescue, and all the depth of resources that Rescue Inc. provides. And I'm deeply grateful for what this company has done for the city of Keene on every level. It's been truly life-saving, and we were in a horrible position if Rescue Inc. didn't fill the gap. And again, the deepest gratitude for myself, the city manager, the city councilors, and all the members of the Keene Fire Department. It's an amazing organization. Very proud of our relationship, again, that I hope to maintain. And for those who work for Rescue Inc., those on the board, those who use Rescue Inc. as a service, you are truly well served by an amazing organization.
Thank you, Chief. All right, now, and thank you for the comments. We have an amazing team here at Rescue that serves these communities in a lot of ways, and we really should talk about the quality of medical care. And you've heard it already. The quality of medical care at Rescue Inc. is second to none. Our approach to serving the community, to making sure that there's always an ambulance available, to ensuring the quality and of our system, making sure, for example, that ambulance in Keene is backfilled so that there's no interruption in service. All of that credit goes to our operations team. Our operations team has successfully provided 100% coverage to every single 911 call for 7 straight years. That is a feat that nobody else in this state, I'm certain of, and I'm sure in the region, can say. I asked a couple other people if they wanted to speak. I have some quotes. Will Moran, Rescue Inc. is a leader in emergency medical services and a valued partner of the state of Vermont. They lead the way in innovation, high-quality pre-hospital care, and educating the EMS practitioners of the future. Again, our commitment to our mission. What that means is that we're here for not just the medical events, but we're here for the standbys. We're here for the parades. We're here for the fire scenes. We're here for the floods. We have equipment like these shelters that everybody got to see out back that allow us to evacuate areas, set up heated, dry, air-conditioned dry space in order to support those missions. We're active in the communities. We're active at health fairs, Again, parades, we sponsor our own youth group. Thank you to the scouts that were here this evening, helping us, volunteering for us. We see the need and support high-quality pediatric education, along with community education on car seats. We're a pediatric safe organization. We train on pediatric response. We have a pediatric high-fidelity simulator that allows us to train and sharpen our skills on pediatric-specific response. Our technical rescue team, which is completely volunteer, focuses on wilderness, high-angle, swiftwater, ice rescue, search using drones. We have a UTV for access. We have thermal imaging cameras, visual light cameras that allow us to peek into areas and swamps that may or may not be accessible by our ground teams or our UTV teams. Let us look for heat signatures of humans that may be lost in those areas. Drew Clymer, Vermont Search and Rescue Coordinator, an easy call to make, strong leadership, prepared, organized, ready and willing to jump in and do the hard work, first deal problem solvers. We're part of the State of Vermont Search and Rescue group. We're one of the first calls when there's somebody lost anywhere in Vermont. This year we were fortunate to bring on additional volunteer search members that have joined us from the Killington area. When Killington or KSAR was struggling, those team members were welcomed into our technical rescue team and are now valuable contributing members of our team. Some of them were actually here today showing off their skills. Our high-angle team specializes in getting people out of places they shouldn't be. So over banks, into waterfalls, hanging off the side of a cliff. Our team is here and ready to go into those places and get our patients. We're okay with cold water. That doesn't bother us. Our ice rescue teams go out when it's frozen or partially frozen. Not only do we practice, but we also teach ice rescue. Our swiftwater teams. We are one of the Vermont state swiftwater assets. If you were outside, you saw 2 of our 6 boats that we support swiftwater operations in the state of Vermont with. Those boats outside were granted to us by the state of Vermont Urban Search and Rescue Team to support statewide search and rescue missions. We don't have to look back too far until that work, you can see the work of our swiftwater team. Our team of volunteers were on duty, 20 of them, for 10 days. They provided direct rescues, evacuation support, damage assessment, along with helping access community members that were cut off due to flooded roadways and other challenges. Mike Cannon, State of Vermont Urban Search and Rescue Team Leader. Rescue Inc. is an incredibly valuable resource for the state of Vermont. They have one of the most robust water rescue team among the agencies we partner with. They're incredibly easy to work with. They've always stepped up to the plate when requested for large-scale or local incidents. Their training and professionalism speaks for itself. We have other programs that we're very proud of. We partnered with the Brattleboro Retreat to help serve underserved patients around the state. Mental health patients needing transportation for services were waiting hours, sometimes days, to get the necessary ambulance transportation they needed to get that mental health treatment. Earlier this year, we stood up a special team that transports those patients. We've had amazing results. They go out with special training and equipment to provide medically appropriate treatment and transportation to some of the most vulnerable patients in our system. Mobile integrated healthcare. This is EMS of the future. We are super excited to have Brattleboro Hospital as a partner in a pilot project that will allow our staff to get into mobile integrated healthcare. Our program is approved by the state of Vermont. Our staff has been chosen, training has been begun, and we will be working with the orthopedics team at Brattleboro Hospital to provide in-home care to joint replacement patients in Vermont and in New Hampshire. Chris wrote a very wordy letter. I'm just going to read the last sentence here. The possibilities are limitless thanks to the sensational partnership we have. The relationship we have with BMH, providing service through transportation, education, and mobile integrated health, is important not only to us and the hospital, but important to the community and to the future of healthcare in the region. It's an extension of the medical home. It helps patients that are suffering from a medical emergency get the right care at the right time in the right place. This program will continue to expand and grow, and that relationship is what's allowing us to do that. And if that wasn't enough, we have other programs going on. Right now, we're actively doing flood debris assessment in the southern half of Vermont. Our teams go out every day and help the Agency of Transportation identify needs that have yet to be identified in small communities, back roads, and areas that are difficult to access. We did a program to assist the Department of Health doing medical assessment questionnaires on some of the unhomed population that's living in motels. And yes, we will be doing vaccines again in the fall when boosters are due. That program will be limited to uninsured patients, so don't get too excited if you're not one of those, but we will be back doing vaccines again in the fall. Dan Batesy, Deputy Commissioner of Public Safety. Rescue Inc. has been a consistent and strong partner of the state of Vermont through both COVID-19 pandemic and the most recent flooding events. Their efforts have significantly contributed to keeping the citizens of Vermont safe. So the hard work of our staff, the dedication of our staff, the creativity, and the willingness to take on these projects has put Rescue Inc. in a position and prepared Rescue Inc. for the future so that we can offer new things, offer new services. As a community nonprofit, we have the ability to reinvest the money that we bring in from these programs into continuing our growth as an organization and continuing the services that we're able to provide to the community. So through that work, last fall we opened VEMSA, the Vermont EMS Academy, the first academy of its kind in the state of Vermont. It's a full-time EMS academy. And when I say EMS, I don't mean just EMS providers. We provide education to nurses. We now created and run the phlebotomy program at Brattleboro Hospital. We're excited that we've been able to expand our reach with the mobile education center that you see outside now. We recently, as you can see, August 21st, became CAPC accredited. We are now an accredited training academy, the only one of its kind in Vermont. Our main campus is in Newfane, Vermont. We have our mobile, and I like this picture because in order to make our simulator, we wanted an ambulance in our building. That ambulance moves. That ambulance has sound. That ambulance shakes. That ambulance can replicate all the things we see in the field. We want our providers trained in the environment they work in. We put our high-fidelity human simulators in this ambulance box, and they get a real-life experience. In order to do that, we did have to lift it over the roof with a giant crane, which was pretty exciting. No, before. They must be getting busy over there. This year we opened up a Keene location. So when Deluzio Ambulance was no longer able to function, they also lost the education capacity that existed in the Keene area. We opened up a Keene location, and we are now offering advanced EMT. We're offering CPR, first aid, advanced cardiac life support, all at our Keene location. Some of our programs, again, EMS, nursing, technical rescue. We're teaching the water rescue boat operations for the flood teams around the state of Vermont, as well as the EMS education. Anybody that went through our mobile education room sees our high fidelity simulators. We have pediatric, adult, and we'll soon have a trauma simulator so that we can practice on amputations and gunshot wounds in as realistic of a scenario as possible. Grants and donations are critically important to the way that our organization runs. We've been very fortunate through donations. This raft was donated by the local Rotary Club in Brattleboro. That raft was used to save lives during the flood. We take those donations, we take those grants, and we use them to support our mission. The boats that we see here granted to us by the state of Vermont were used during the flood to support flood evacuation and flood rescue missions. Up in the upper corner, that's our high fidelity pediatric simulator. That was 100% grant funded to support education of EMS providers in this region. And the list goes on. Our subscription program. The cost of healthcare is high. Insurance coverages are not overly great. One of the ways that we have to help is through our subscription program. It helps fixed income people be protected from what could be a large ambulance bill. $60 a year per household gets them the transportation they need without having to pay for deductibles and copays. If you're in Brattleboro, unfortunately that only applies to hospital transportation. So this is Glenn. He's not here tonight because he's at a wedding, or I'd make him speak. We have a fleet of 11 ambulances. We have staff vehicles and trailers and boats. Glenn heads up our maintenance department. At our Townsend station, we have a full garage with lifts and air conditioning units and tire changing equipment that keeps our ambulances in tip-top shape. Full time, keeping our vehicles on the road and making sure they're safe, reliable, and available for the next call. We're waiting on trucks. It's difficult. Purchasing ambulances, we've had 2 ambulances on order for 18 months. We do not have a delivery date. So we're fortunate to have some new ambulances in our fleet. We have 5 new ambulances that we've brought into our fleet in the last year. We have 2 more that are on order, and we're hopeful that we'll get those early next year. So again, we're a nonprofit, we're mission driven, and that comes from our board of directors. Our board of directors are made up of members from the member towns that we serve. They're focused on patient-centered care, but they're also cost-conscious. They're the ones that schedule these meetings so that we can be transparent with the public, get your input, and they're the reason that we record these meetings so that everybody, even those that can't be here, can learn about the services that we offer and how we do our business. Some things that I'm adding tonight, mostly because it's going to be part of our later discussion, is like, what does Rescue Inc. look like? What is the organizational structure? Well, there's a lot of stuff going on here. I just point out a few. Again, our education program at VEMSA. We have our special program director that takes care of our vaccines, in our state-directed projects. We have our operations team. They take care of the 911 calls and the transports. Our technical rescue team leader oversees our boat teams, manages those resources. And then we have all of the people that make that stuff happen. Everybody from our human resources director, our director of administration, director of IT, we can't forget quality assurance, and our fleet. It's a team approach. In order to make what happens here happen, it takes a team. All right, so money conversations are fun. So for those people that are member towns, your assessment will go up 1% next year, as we promised. Our assessment rate has not changed more than 1% in over a decade. Our board is cost conscious. Our administration is fiscally responsible. And because graphs can be misleading, I put the numbers up so you can see the difference year to year. The cost per person is going up 24 cents year over year. So why? Why a comprehensive regional EMS partner? What do we bring? If you're sitting in the room, you've probably walked around through our open house, and you can probably see what we bring to the table. We bring a board that cares about the community. They're local, they live here. Our families live here. We bring risk-appropriate response. That doesn't mean racing lights and sirens to every call. That means risk-appropriate. That means taking information and data and best practices and applying those. We have surge capacity because in total, Rescue Inc. is 130 people. When it gets busy, our staff comes back. They feel responsible, just like during the flood a couple weeks ago. We had 40 people, 20 dedicated to the flood response and 20 dedicated to EMS response. We were prepared if any one of our towns became isolated to stand up an ambulance, to provide care, to set up a shelter if we couldn't get to the hospital, to provide long-term medical care if necessary because the roads got flooded. We have a very dedicated group of people, which is what gives us our surge capacity. And the resources here at Rescue Inc. are shared. Right now, we have multiple resources in our Division 3. We move resources, what we call status systems management, where we move those resources from one area to another so that we can always meet that need. We have training partnerships. Our staff work, live, coach sports. They're on youth boards. We're part of the community. Any questions? Why am I doing all the talking? All right. So now we'll get into the part of the presentation that I'm sure some people are here to see. All right. So Brattleboro. So let's talk about Brattleboro. And again, if you have questions, you can stop me. I'm going to go over these 4 points tonight, and we'll talk about the pieces and parts, and you can certainly ask whatever you'd like for questions. So what brings us to this point right now where we're putting in an RFP to serve the citizens of Brattleboro? We thought Vern and the other founding members fixed this problem many, many years ago. But here we are again putting in a proposal. This started in 1966, and unfortunately, some of the ill will from 1966 still exists. So if I didn't put that out there, there's some old timers in this organization that would come up here and kind of slap me. But yeah, there's some history. There's a little bit of Hatfield and McCoy between the Rescue Inc., and Brattleboro Fire Department. That's part of it. A big chunk of this, unfortunately, and we won't get into details, comes down to gender discrimination and bullying. We have amazing women in this organization. You can simply turn around and look. They're all huddled, or not all of them, but a whole bunch of them are huddled around the center post. They deserve to be treated with respect. They deserve to be treated well. They deserve to come to work in an environment that is safe. And that's something that we will not tolerate. We also got here because of misleading information about the cost/profit that the town anticipates running their service. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but a year ago, they were presenting $700,000 in additional revenue. Now we're talking about what is it going to cost the taxpayers. And ultimately, a lack of understanding of what modern EMS looks like. There's a lot to it. It's complicated. If you've been here, walked through our open house, you'll see that it is not about buying an ambulance. There's so much more to an EMS system. All of those people on that organizational chart have a part in building this EMS system. EMS IT technology. This is not EMS of the 1960s. We've evolved. All of our ambulances have computers, wireless internet that connect us all the time. We have ultrasound units in our trucks. We have mannequins that talk, breathe, and cry. That's important to the success of an EMS system, certainly a modern EMS system. So like usual, you probably can't read the slide. It's okay. It's just a visual to remind me of what I'm going to talk about. Every year, our board of directors has a meeting just like this, where we bring in members of the public. We ask them for feedback about the services that they're getting. We ask municipal leaders if there's services that they need that they don't have, if there's services that they have that they don't need. We did that just before the breakup between us and Brattleboro. We sat in this very room, we talked about the services we would provide, and every single town was represented, said, yes, we will be moving forward with Rescue Inc. for 3 more years. We sent out a letter because we know it's important to select boards to know what the cost is going to be so they can set their budgets. So we sent out a letter in December letting them know that we had set the rates, the board of directors had set the rates, and that increase was going to be 0% for that year and 1% for each of the 2 following years so they could set their budgets. We then learned in January and February. In January, we had a very difficult conversation about the discrimination issues we talked about. In February, we were told by then town manager Yoshi that the town of Brattleboro would not pay for ambulance services anymore, and they expected that service to be for free. Providing service to one town in our system for free means that the cost and the burden is being shifted to the other communities. That's something we're not willing to do. I sent them back a letter, and I'm going to read this one to you. Given your stated position and unwillingness to pay for emergency medical response, Rescue Inc. will not be able to continue providing that service to the town of Brattleboro beyond the June 30, 2022 contract date. If the town would like to come and speak to me about an agreement for service beyond June 30, 2022, please contact me no later than May 1st to schedule a meeting. I will be scheduling a meeting with our remaining towns shortly after so that we can discuss the operational and financial effects on our system as it relates to Brattleboro's decision. This is the, quote, nasty letter that I've heard so much about. So, to clarify, we simply stated we cannot provide services to the town of Brattleboro for free. That reality has now been confirmed by their AP Triton report and now their own internal information. They have now figured out what we told them before this started. You cannot provide services to the town of Brattleboro for free. Don't forget, we offered them an opportunity to meet and discuss whatever it is they wanted to discuss. An opportunity we offer to all of our towns. So in case you missed some of the recent news, Keene Sentinel, this came from the city of Keene. Responding to 911 calls does not make money. We are subsidizing it, Dragon said. Every call that we go to costs us money, which is why we have to pay something to Rescue Inc. to keep them here. A town administrator that gets the reality of modern EMS. We're glad to be providing services over there, and we're glad that we have a partner that understands what it takes to deliver EMS to their community. So the town of Brattleboro is currently working on parallel paths. Never seen that happen before. Interesting, where we have a public bidding going on at the same time we're developing a town service. So some of the challenges that I see as part of this process. The fire chiefs are part of the review committee for the proposals, but they are also a bidder in the process. The information that has been put out is inconsistent. Makes it very difficult to understand what the proposal really looks like. In fact, we haven't seen a cost proposal yet. The timing of the request for information is a little bit challenging for us. As part of the proposal, they've requested detailed financial information, detailed personnel information, information that's proprietary to the way that we run our business. And they want that information turned over to the other bidder before they have to put in their numbers. That doesn't make sense to us. That would put us at an unreasonable disadvantage in any bidding process. I'd like to see what it would look like if they put their numbers out with an effective firefighting force versus a firefighting force and an EMS system. So there's some things that people should be aware of, and they'll be in our proposal. There's some nuance to EMS billing. I know there was a statement that was made that anybody can do EMS billing. You can look to the back of the room. Right in the center is Ellen Walsh. Ellen Walsh is our Director of Administration. She's the one that deals with the complications of EMS billing. Is it easy? We have a thumbs down, solid thumbs down. There's some nuance to it. There are dozens of federal programs. Every year, we take care of patients that have federal insurance, state insurance, private insurance, including workers' compensation, homeowners insurance, auto insurance. Everyone has a different policy. Everyone has a different fee schedule. Everyone has a different form. This is not something you just do in an office. This is something that you have trained professionals work through. Large incidents. How are you going to serve a large incident when your entire workforce is 21 people? How are you going to provide the firefighting responsibilities and the EMS responsibilities of a building collapse with 21 people? Our organization is 130 people deep. They're not all medical providers. Some of them are technical rescue volunteers. We have the bench depth to support large events. Some other things that are in their proposals, paramedic wages. So their proposal actually calls for advanced EMT wages, but doesn't mention paramedic wages. Rescue Inc. has been providing paramedics since paramedics were created. In fact, the first paramedics to ever operate in the state of Vermont operated out of Rescue Inc. Running municipal EMS system, you're going to see high turnover. In Brattleboro, you've seen 60+% turnover. Here in our organization, that number is about 5%. And in fact, 2 of those people are here right now that drove all the way back up from Tennessee to be with us today. So thank you for supporting us even after you've moved away from employment. They're still part of the Rescue Inc. family. They're still supporters. It's a long drive from Tennessee. I spent some time looking at the capital replacement plan and their financial budget. There's currently 4 options listed. They've only provided capital replacement schedules for the cheapest of the options, which is the van ambulances. Any of the other options would drive the prices significantly higher. And just for some education, because I think the public needs to be educated. Some of the documents that we're going to be providing as part of our proposal are our billing rates. We gladly provide our billing rates because we do that for every one of our communities. It's part of the information we provide when we do our agreements. Our BLS base rate is $770. Medicare allows $436. Okay? Brattleboro is proposing to charge $1,400 for the same call. Is it a deal? Twice the cost, and this is directly out of the town's presentation. They want to charge $1,400 a call. Let me explain how that really works. Somebody calls 911 and they're suffering from a medical emergency. About 70% of those in Brattleboro are BLS. That call is charted. That call is submitted for payment through the appropriate forms. Some of those calls are going to be denied. Medicare denies claims on a certain rate just because they do. You then go through an appeals process that can take up to 7 years to get paid. If anybody wants details on that, Ellen can explain it to you. The invoice, so hypothetically, if that was a Rescue Inc. patient, we would bill $770. Medicare would say the allowable is $436. But Medicare doesn't pay $436. Medicare pays 80% of that, which is $349, because they expect the person that received the services to pay the other 20% through coinsurance or direct payment. So even though we billed $770, we will get $349.35 for that call. The difference, $333.31, is a write-off. We are required by law to accept assignment. That's how the system is built. If the town was to bill $1,400, like they're proposing, they are still going to get $349.35. The difference is their write-off will be $1,050. That's how it affects a Medicare patient. I've heard a lot about we need to drive the price up so that we can collect more money from private insurance. Spoiler alert, private insurance companies do not pay 100% of the bill. Anybody that has private insurance can tell you that. In fact, you can look all over the internet about ambulance surprise billing from services that have tried to play this game. Because the insurance providers will pay what is called customary and reasonable. They will not pay what you bill them. I can tell you in the greater Brattleboro area, if I was a Blue Cross employee that was approving bills and I saw a bill from Rescue Inc. for $770 for a BLS call, and I saw a claim from the town of Brattleboro for $1,400, what would you consider to be customary and reasonable? I'm guessing they're not going to pay the $1,400. The challenge here is that bill gets put back on the person with private insurance. Increasing billing rates does not affect reimbursement from federal programs. It just adds financial burden to working class people. All of us that have private health insurance, whether you bought it on the exchange or whether it came through your employer, you have co-pays and deductibles and co-insurance. Pushing that number from $770 to $1,400 means that you need to reach into your pocket and pay it. It doesn't come from the insurance company. All right, ever-changing numbers. It's like a ping pong ball. Try to figure out where we're at. Golden Cross collected $627,845 according to the town's numbers. But yet, they're projecting 30% more because of this increased rate that we just talked about. 84% of Brattleboro patients are insured by the federal government or the state. As we talked about already, those patients are fixed. Doesn't matter what you do to the rate, you're going to get the same amount. 13% of those patients are going to hold the burden associated with that rate increase. Is that reasonable? So I found this interesting. And I'm going to read it here because as the RFIs went out and the RFPs went out, this came out from AmCare. AmCare is a private for-profit ambulance service located in the northern part of Vermont with a parent company located in Maryland. It says, from what we are seeing in Brattleboro and our research, it looks like Brattleboro is looking for the best deal for them. And there's no way we can come anywhere near what Rescue Inc. came in at. Roger said this week, the director. For us to come there and purchase a building and new ambulances and the reimbursement rates being as they are in Vermont, it would probably cost anywhere from $750,000 to $1 million, and we know they don't want to pay that much. This is a business that understands what it costs to deliver ambulance service. This is a business that was planning on only bringing 2 ambulances into the system. This is not what you see here at Rescue Inc. What you saw during our open house, the comprehensive services that we provide here, is not what they're talking about for $750,000. They're talking about simply 2 ambulances. All right, so I'm assuming people want to know, what are you guys going to propose to the town? So here we go. We are going to make a proposal. It's actually quite simple. Rescue Inc. only does Rescue Inc. We only have one way of doing business. Our proposal is very straightforward. We can return Brattleboro to full-service regional EMS. That's the only thing we have to offer. Talk to the staff, talk to the people that are here. We don't know anything else. We don't know how to go halfway. So what we propose as the town of Brattleboro is 911 response, large incident response, hospital transport, event coverage, specialized rescue, disaster response, education, public health. That's all we do. I'll tell you there's some challenges though. I've spent many hours working on a proposal that's due next week. In that proposal, we have to address the unresolved personnel issues. We need to protect the people that are on the ground doing the job. That'll be part of our proposal. We talk about response times. I've beat this dead horse at a couple meetings, but I'm going to do it again. We're going to talk about dispatch fees. Surprise. We're going to talk about a new performance bond requirement. The information they're asking for, unidentified response criteria, and this idea of paramedics being required. So, what we're proposing is pretty straightforward. I believe reasonable. We need a third party to step in because we're not satisfied with the investigations and the actions that have happened internally. We're demanding that any complaints of gender discrimination, sexual harassment be investigated by a third party automatically from this point forward. And we're willing to split the cost of that third party. We are willing and ready to address these issues if the town is. And we're even offering to pay half of the bill. In their proposal, they have a response time criteria. We work here with evidence and evidence-based practice. This organization and the growth of this organization, the success of this organization is because we follow the numbers, we follow the data, we follow the science. Response time criteria is universally unaccepted in EMS. Every single recent publication does not correlate response time with outcome. We are not interested in being part of a system that is measuring the wrong matrix. We are interested in evidence-based practice. We are interested in being measured based on our clinical success, based on measures that matter to patients. The difference in response time between Rescue Inc. and Brattleboro Fire, when the data is actually calculated, is 71 seconds. There are some cases where 71 seconds matter. In those cases, we would ask that the Brattleboro Fire Department be dispatched because those 71 seconds matter. This came out of a study done by NIOSH. Traditional requirements for ALS response within 8 minutes, 90% of the time, is not associated with improved outcomes and risk EMS crashes and stresses EMS resources availability. I can't show these quotes enough. This is the science. The research has been done. Why do we keep coming back to old standards that do not apply to modern medicine? I couldn't have said it any better than what NIOSH did. So here's the actual numbers, because again, I like to put the data out. If anybody wants this data, I'll gladly give it to you. You can run the numbers yourself, but here's what you're going to find. It went the wrong way. You can check my math. It's 71 seconds. You can read the literature. We do. We make data-driven decisions. The other thing that's important to realize is we provide a depth of service that takes into consideration surges and mass casualty events. We have 11 ambulances in our fleet, and we have amazing partners. When there's a car accident that requires 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ambulances, as you heard from Chief Goddard, those resources are just available. Sometimes we don't even know how we do it. Our ops team is dedicated to making sure that every call is covered. They come in from home. They move resources from one division to another. They always listen. Assistant Chief Wilson, who's hiding because he knows I'll call him out, stays awake 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and watches the call volume come through to make sure we don't miss a call. And he may not be there, but I'm sure the nodding heads in the back of the room from our staff would let you know that they actually do watch 24/7. In our proposal, we're recommending any measure be clinical. If you're going to measure success of an EMS system, it needs to be on the patient care. I could read you another quote, but I'm going to leave it up on the screen this time. Racing to scenes using lights and siren to beat a make-believe number does not do the public any good. So this is a new one. Earlier this week, an addendum came out to the proposal. And in the addendum to the proposal, they've clarified the question about dispatching and dispatch fees. So prior to July of 2022, Rescue Inc. was dispatched out of Brattleboro Central Dispatch. We paid them $48,000 for that service, or roughly $8 a call. The amended RFP document came in and said, for proposals, you need to assume that that price is now $36.37. 4 times the price that it was a year ago. It's quite simple. I'm not going to ask the town of Dummerston, Newfane, Putney, or Hinsdale to pay that cost. In fact, all of our other towns pay for their own dispatching. All it means is that our bid is going to be higher. When you're comparing apples and apples, we're forced to add well over $100,000, almost $150,000 in dispatching fees. Because again, it's not reasonable to expect our other towns to absorb those costs. The other thing that was clarified and came out in the amendment was that we now have to provide a performance bond as part of a contract with the town of Brattleboro. So we reached out to the Richards Group because that's who we reach out to for insurance questions. And what we got back is this quote at the top. I haven't encountered a performance bond requirements outside of the construction industry. So why did it all of a sudden, 4 days before the proposal was due, end up in an EMS contract? I don't know. This too has to be added back to our bid. I can't expect our other towns to cover the cost of a performance bond that Brattleboro is requiring. It's not reasonable. As part of the bond, or as part of the bid, the town has asked for very detailed information about Rescue's operation and finances. And I'll make this statement. Rescue Inc. is a nonprofit and fully complies with federal financial reporting requirements. Our 990s are available online. Our federal audits are done. In fact, because of the size of our organization and the work that we do for the state and the federal government, we do single audits. This organization is financially sound, viable, and we follow all reporting, documenting, and fiduciary guidelines. The challenge is providing that information to the town of Brattleboro when they too are a bidder. The town of Brattleboro has not released the information as to what their costs are going to be, what their model is going to look like. The information that has led to the success of this organization is proprietary to this organization. Giving that to our competitor would put us at a significant disadvantage. For the camera, it's easy to play poker when you get to see your opponent's cards. That's not fair to us, it's not fair to any of the bidders. Here's what we're willing to do. We'll gladly meet with the administrative officials or the municipal officials from the town of Brattleboro if we're awarded the bid, just like we do with any of our other communities. They're welcome to come here. They're welcome to sit down with Ellen and myself, and we will go over in more detail EMS funding, costs, revenue streams than anybody would ever want to know. We're willing to provide documentation saying that we are a financially viable company. After all, 56 years, 57 years of experience should say something. This one just made me chuckle, so I had to put it in here. The bid requires paramedics be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The good thing is we check that box back in 1970. But I do chuckle because in the proposal that's public right now, they have no paramedics at all, and they only budget for advanced EMTs. Maybe it's a typo. So part of the proposal requires that Rescue Inc. or any other bidder comply with the emergency operations plan as written by the town of Brattleboro. So we asked them for a copy of it. We received that copy. We've read that. And the document provides definitions of all the events that may happen in the town of Brattleboro. It explains what a flood is. It explains what a fire is. It explains what a aircraft accident is. But what it doesn't say anywhere in the document is what resources they expect us to apply to that. It's 30 pages of definitions without a plan. It's very difficult for me to cost out what it's going to cost to provide services to a plan when there is no resource allocation in that plan. Our proposal includes working with municipal leaders to refine the emergency operations plan so that EMS responsibilities can be mutually agreed upon and clearly defined. We need to know if there's a train derailment, what our responsibility is. I don't need to know the definition of a train derailment. Neither does anybody else in this room. How many ambulances are you expecting that we're going to deliver? That's the cost I have to put to it. Almost done, bear with me. Why should Brattleboro choose a local nonprofit healthcare partner? Well, I'm going to go through a few of these. We're reliable, predictable. We're full service EMS. We're time tested and proven. That's why you guys are sitting here. You know what we can offer. We have a depth of resources like nobody else. We have experience on how to operate and manage the system. We provide treatment and transportation through to definitive care. And we have a history in this community, a history of investment and support. And you can see that by walking around our open house, through our education system, through our community education and outreach, through our technical rescue programs, through our car seats, and I'm sure I'm forgetting something. And we have local partners. You heard from a few. I read you some quotes. We're very fortunate to be part of a larger system where we share resources, we share ideas, and we support each other. At any time, I'll pick on Tom because he's here. At any time, I know if I need resources, I can rely on the Putney Fire Department. He can rely on us. In fact, during the flood, Putney committed resources to help us support our operation as part of our statewide response. We have boats that live in Putney, Newfane, and Brattleboro. They support us when we need a boat. But we don't want to forget the other things we got. Patient-centered care. That's our number one priority. Honesty, reliability, predictability. A safe work environment. The reason why we have all these amazing people here. Employee support, employee development, and a statewide network that we rely on, we support, and that supports us. So I may have to play this twice. I'm hoping that it's loud enough for you to hear, so if you'll be quiet. When I talked to Vern last week, I promised him I would let him have the last words.
I thought when we organized rescue almost 60 years ago, that was a great thing. But I think Drew's going to speak. You know, I read every article that's been written and everything that's been said about the breakup of rescuing from Brattleboro. And I think that's a bunch of hogwash. give a little bit of advice to the Board of Selectmen in Brattleboro, here's what I would say, unsolicited. Put rescue back in business in Brattleboro. I think stop counting the amount of dollars you're saving by firing this fine crew and start counting the number of lives and things that are saved by putting rescue back where they belong. Rescue believes rescue belongs in Brattleboro, and that's where they should be. Thank you.
All right, so I will ask if there are questions. I have another microphone. I will do my absolute best to answer them. Have a microphone runner? Anybody?
Test. A question that I've had quite a long time ago. If you respond to a collision, you send out your units, maybe a couple of ambulances, it's supposed to be a bad one, injury. You get there and the person doesn't want to be transported to the hospital. Can you bill that still? Back when I was here, you couldn't bill that. What's the answer to that, Drew?
There is no way for us to recover those costs. We cannot bill for those. If you don't mind, just state your name so that people on TV can know who they're hearing from.
Yes, Bob Ozer, Brattleboro. I hate to even ask a question because I'm not sure what the right question is. And I guess the one question is, why are we even here? I think you asked that at one point. And how do we get back to something that resembles sanity? But I don't know if I can read this. I probably can't read this from the website. The town has put up all the letters from people or emails that people sent into the select board and the answers from the town officials. So in August, you'll see my name appearing at least once, and you'll see Kate O'Connor's name appearing at least 3 times. I don't know if Kate is still here. I know she was here earlier. So maybe Kate will ask this question. But Kate tried to ask the question of the town. Why is the town not disclosing what its costs and billing is if it's requiring that of the people who are submitting the RFPs? And in my humble opinion, she didn't get an answer. The answer she got, and it's on the website, you can read it, is that, well, we need to know that for the people who are supplying the RFP because we want to know what they're going to charge. But we're not going to disclose what we're going to bill and what our collection policy is until fiscal year 25. I'm not a mathematician, but that doesn't make any sense. Why are we here? How do we get back to sanity? Because just putting words on paper doesn't explain what's going on. I'm sorry if that's a convoluted question. Maybe somebody can do better than I.
Let me answer the question as to why we're here tonight. You're here tonight because I want the public to understand the services that we provide our communities. We want to answer questions about how the organization operates. We want to make sure that the citizens that we serve know what it is they're receiving and what it is they want to receive. We're here tonight doing an open house to make sure that the public understands what it is we do, the depths of services, the reliability of services, and the cost of services. We've been able to put that up. We've been very open. All of our meetings are available on BCTV. We're very thankful to have them here tonight, recording this so that people can watch from home. So that's why we're here, is to provide answers to your questions about our proposal, what we're going to ask, or what we're going to offer back to the town of Brattleboro. What they do with that, I can't answer.
Carolyn Conrad, I have a question and an offer. First, I'll start with the offer. As Drew knows, I am a trained mediator. I clearly am not unbiased in this situation. However, I'd be happy to offer my services to locate and select a neutral mediator, and I would do that at no charge. My question, and I know part of the answer, but I think it would be useful for clarification. In terms of the claims and history of sexual bias, who investigated those? And who, quote unquote, cleared them? And is there any way, and I know it's difficult because of confidentiality and human resources issues, to make those more public? So that's a two-part question.
So we don't make public human resources type investigations or complaints. That was, as all complaints, thoroughly investigated by our human resources director and our attorney prior to being submitted to the town of Brattleboro. The human resources director in the town disagreed with the findings that our staff had, HR director and attorney had come up with. So ultimately, it was the town that determined that there was no wrongdoing as part of those. And that's why we're insisting that investigations in the future be done by an independent third party so that we can be assured that there's integrity in the process. It's important to me, it's important to the staff, it's a requirement from our board.
No, you can't. It has to go over the air. And I'm Terry Martin.
My name is Judy Davidson, and I live in Brattleboro. And I just want to thank you, Drew, for putting in the time, the effort, the data to really explain not just what Rescue does. Is that better? But also the proposal and some of the challenges and what you would also want Brattleboro to negotiate on in the future. And I want to thank you for all the work you've done as someone in Brattleboro who really hopes that this issue can be resolved and that Rescue can again be our EMS provider. So thank you.
Other questions? You want to say any words? Any other comments? Apparently, we're all right, well, seeing no other questions, thank you again for coming out. Thank you for coming to the open house. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to us. up here on the front table, we have copies of some of the recent articles. As you leave the building, we have some postcards that we'll be handing out that provides information of how to contact the Brattleboro Select Board members and municipal leadership. So if, as a citizen, you are interested in and have comments for your elected officials, please take the time, write them, call them, email them, and grab a postcard on the way out. There's some more subscription information in the back. Again, we have articles from The Digger, we have 7 Days, we have the Keene Sentinel. So if there's something that you missed and you want to read, we have those up front. Feel free to come and grab them. We'll be hanging around if you have a question that you want an answer to off the air. I'll be glad to stick around and answer those questions too. And again, a huge shout out to the Marina tonight for providing our door prize, for Jamaica School Club for donating the grill, and all the work of the staff to put this event together. I greatly appreciate it, and thank you all for coming out.